Hello, Smash fans, and welcome back to the first ever video podcast. A big shout out to MCQ37 highlights for the highlights for this video. Go check them out, link in the description. Without further ado, Smash fans, let's get into it. By now, I know you all have seen this photo of Joe Burrow smoking a cigar, as well as most of you have seen this photo of him smoking a cigar in Cincinnati, but all I could think about were iconic NBA pictures during this time. This one of Jordan, the one of Kobe sitting in the bathroom with his NBA championship, the Draymond Green, a yup and nope meme, the what meme from Russell Westbrook, not because Joe Burrow's picture was necessarily more or less popular and trying to compare the two. However, I found a certain similarity between them, because this was the first time, at least I've seen in a long time, where the NFL has shown some sort of personality outside of the field in a clippable moment, in a clippable picture such as this. One player hasn't shown so much, I guess, right attitude and the right type of flair in such a long time that I haven't experienced it. If you had to pick the most iconic or the most well-known NFL players right now, such as Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, you throw Peyton Manning in there, Eli Manning, because he's kind of Peyton Manning's little brother, they have that whole dynamic going on, and all the other famous NFL players you know. Think about how many really have an iconic social media presence, an intentional photo that has gone out there, or something that's funny but not necessarily damaging of off-the-court situations. There's not a single one of Tom Brady I can think of. Aaron Rodgers has some on-field moments, but off-field, all of it is just either him talking about COVID or stuff that doesn't necessarily put the most positive spin on who he is as a person. Then you have Peyton, whose only realm outside of football has either been broadcasting or commercials. Eli's the same way. Even Baker Mayfield, probably the most expressive person outside of the NFL circle, really only does it in commercials. There's no real brand outside of the NFL that these players have. Yeah, you can point to TB12, but TB12 isn't like what Jordan has, isn't like what LeBron has, isn't even like what Steph Curry has, what James Harden has, KD has. There is not a single NFL movie you can point to where there's an active or even really a former NFL player in it as the main role. If you do that with the NBA, there is Uncle Drew. There's the one with Shaq and Penny Hardaway in it. There is Thunderstruck, Space Jam 2. There are so many movies that have former or current NBA stars in them as the main or a featured character. And that's not happening with the NFL. And the reason that's not happening with the NFL is because the NFL is not a publicity-driven league. It's very much equality in terms of the sport. Small markets are as good as big markets. Everything is dominated by the play on the field. And that has been a successful model up until this point. However, with the change in social media, with the change in everything that has gone on around us, the reason the NBA is catching more popularity, especially within its fan base, is because of the connection it gets to its fan base. The NFL is a very standoffish league, where it's not what you think it is. It's always just there. There's no outside interpretation of it. It stands for itself, and it lets the play speak and tries to get as far away from political issues as it can. We saw this time and time again with the Kaepernick issue, with the Black Lives Matter movements in 2020, they took a very standoffish approach. Even if it was on the flip side in 2020 versus what they did with Kaepernick, in both instances it was very standoffish. The NBA, on the other hand, has been very proactive in these movements. It has been very proactive with its base and with the people it wants to attract. And that is due to player-driven movement and player-driven sports. Because the one thing the NFL lacks that the NBA has, and the NBA has done a really good job of, is allowing the players to be the ambassador of the league just as much as the front offices are, the franchises are. And it's led to people who are so much invested in players than they are in teams, and that's a great thing, because now you get people so much more obsessed with the sport. A great example of this is my brother, who didn't like either football or basketball until a few years ago. However, when he got into the sports world due to fantasy football, he gravitated back towards our favorite team, which was the Washington football team, and he gravitated towards LeBron James. Now, 2 years down the line, he's very involved in both sports. However, he likes the football team, and he likes football, but he loves LeBron. He loves LeBron. He is a LeBron fanatic. And that is because he has some sort of personal attachment to LeBron. LeBron is a human versus a team, and that means more to someone when you have a personal attachment. And I think that's what the NFL is missing. I bring all this up and tie it into Joe Burrow because I think this is the first person I've seen in the NFL that has that sort of swagger about them. Now, I'm not saying it's anywhere close, but not only does he have the personality of someone who could help transition the NFL from the phase of team first to player first, he also has the stats to back it up and the talent to back it up. He, right now, is definitely in the MVP race. He has more yards than Aaron Rodgers, not that many more interceptions. He's carrying a franchise that has zero O-line, no winning history, to an AFC North title. He is in no way, shape, or form good for anything other than what he is doing in terms of the fact that the Bengals are no good. He is no good if he doesn't do what he's doing right now. No one would be holding Joe Burrow in the same light. No one expected great things from Joe Burrow. Sure, good things, but not great things. Not this in your second season. Not over 4,000 passing yards, over 30 touchdowns, helping propel one of your favorite players and your teammate in both college and the pros to being one of the best receivers in the league. This is all stuff that Joe Burrow has done for this Cincinnati franchise. He went from a person not completing any deep passes his rookie year to someone completing more deep passes than anyone else in the league. It's this development that really shows you how good he can be. If he developed this much from his rookie year to his sophomore year, how much more can he develop? With that all being said, this does not mean Joe Burrow is going to be the face of the league in 5 years. However, I think if the NFL is smart, which I think at the end of the day, the NFL is a pretty smart league, I think they're going to take a page out of the NBA's playbook here. And they're going to see that Joe Burrow can be an asset to this league, especially if they are able to use him in the right way, such as what Michael Jordan was able to do for the sport of basketball. He was able to popularize it, make it global. I think Joe Burrow and this new generation of quarterbacks can do the same because they understand social media. They understand what they can and cannot post. They're not stupid. No one in the NFL is stupid. And these new age, these Gen Z, these freaking Generation Alpha that will be coming in a few years, they all understand social media. And the NFL can use that to leverage players to be the best versions of themselves. And I think that Joe Burrow is the leader in that. Joe Burrow can be the first NFL superstar to really broaden his horizons, to really show himself as a person more than just a player. Kind of like what Peyton is doing now, but to a greater extent. Go out and branch out into TV, branch out into shoe deals, branch out into maybe making his own TV shows and movies, creating his own studio. I think Joe Burrow can be that person who helps to transition the NFL from a league that was, as I said, for the majority of its history, very team-oriented, to a league that will be very player-oriented in the near future, because I think that is where everyone wants this to go, as human connection is so much easier to make when it's player and person to person versus team to person. You have role models, but no one's ever said, I want to be like the Green Bay Packers. But people have said, I want to be like Aaron Rodgers. No one said, I want to be like the Patriots. But people have said, I want to be like Tom Brady. No one said, I want to be like the 49ers. But a lot of people have said, I want to be like Jerry Rice. So it's making sure you capitalize on that and pushing it into a new era where the NFL fan base is more player focused than team focused. And I think Joe Burrow is a great place to start because he already has that natural swagger with the play to back it up, as well as not being an absolute bonehead about it, which allows him to push himself and push this league forward, and allows him to maybe, if he plays his cards right, be one of the first really global superstars outside of football as well as inside of football that the NFL has seen.